M&A Advisor is very happy to have Brenen Hofstadter with us right now, who is the president and managing principal with Generational Capital Markets. Brenen, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Claudia. Nice to see you. Happy to be here again.
Thank you. Tell us about your company and specifically what you do.
Okay. So I'm a deal maker and president of Generational Capital Markets in Dallas. We're part of the Generational Group that includes Generational Equity and Dealforce. We're handling merger and acquisition and evaluations of privately held businesses in the mid-market across USA and Canada. And this year we're targeting a record year of 100 closed M&A transactions.
Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. It's not finished yet, but we're excited, and it's a very good market.
Tell us a little bit about the tech trends that you're seeing in the mid-market.
So it's interesting. In the last 10 years, more and more of our small private clients either are or becoming recurring revenue type businesses, either subscription businesses or have some recurring element to it, even if they're in a basic product or service, either converting part of their business to a recurring revenue. And we're seeing a lot of buyer interest in that category, where businesses have long-term customer relationships with contracts that they're able to provide a service on a monthly or subscription basis. And those types of businesses are very attractive to us, very attractive to buyers. And I think that will be a trend that will continue long-term. In the past, we've seen, of course, software companies and finance-related companies and many kind of subsegments of industries in recurring revenue, but we're seeing more and more of that going forward.
Let's talk a little bit more about IT systems and data investments.
So we're seeing a divergence at this moment of time because generational is fairly high volume. So we're dealing with hundreds of clients, and a large portion have made, I'll say 80% plus, have made million or multi-million-dollar investments over the last 3 years in IT and systems and infrastructure and cybersecurity and those things to better serve their clients, have better information sharing in the organization, and also provide cybersecurity. Another portion of our client companies haven't made that kind of investment. And I fear that those are the ones that may get left behind. Frankly, for those types of companies, aligning with a much larger buyer that has those people and systems infrastructure could be a great way to be able to get up that learning curve and get those systems in place. And
then that brings us to really IT software and due diligence.
It does. So, and that is a critical area in deals nowadays. 10, 15 years ago, I would say that the due diligence on the IT and software was perfunctory. Now it's a core piece of a buyer diligence, especially for software businesses, but really all types, where if the client has a proprietary software system, the buyer is very likely going to hire a third-party expert to come in and do an expert analysis of the code and the code source and make sure that our client has 100% rights to it. I've seen in 2 deals in the last 5 years where my client was caught up in a situation where other people, either past employees or there's groups out there that are buying up intellectual property and making lawsuits, claiming IP infringement. And in order to be able to prove to a buyer that you've got 100% ownership, you've got to have the paperwork and the audit trails and past employee and contractor sign-offs and all these things that are necessary to get through an audit of that type.
How about buyer multiples relating to technology in the mid-market?
Well, so that's the great news, and maybe the final topic we can touch on. The buyer multiples and the percentage of cash they're paying at closing has certainly gone up each and every year from the recession of 2009, particularly for software businesses, recurring revenue type businesses, and businesses, even typical manufacturers and service providers and wholesalers that have embraced IT and have put the systems and processes in place in order to be able to operate at efficient levels. And buyers, that's one of the very first things they're analyzing. So the clients that are doing that are getting higher multiples. We're seeing sometimes a 1 or 2, 3 times, 1, 2, even 3 times EBITDA higher for a business that is able to check those boxes for buyers.
Brenen, thank you so much for your insight. Great to see you once again here in M&A.
Thank you, Claudia.